The last segment I want to talk about was just kind of some companies that you generally follow. I'm not sure that I have specific questions about them, but I would like to, maybe we call this a lightning round where I just spot you up with a few and you can share some thoughts about, whether you really like them, whether they're still a best-in-class solution in the areas that they play in, or any other direction you want to take this. But first one is Datadog. You followed Datadog for several years. Where do we stand with Datadog right now?
What to watch in the market for Datadog is how the clouds are doing. And they're starting to slow a bit. And so it wouldn't be unusual for Datadog to start to slow a little bit because of it. It's been interesting because how tied it is to cloud consumption. Observability over that infrastructure that you're creating is kind of a per host charge. Really, let's call it not exactly usage-based, but it's capacity-based charging, I guess I'd say. We saw it with COVID. At the start of COVID, all of these companies pulled the levers within their cloud to make requests take a little bit longer. The queues stored a little bit longer. We turned off some of our load balancing so that things were processed slower in applications. Those are the levers that you can pull in modern cloud architectures that got pulled, which meant fewer containers, fewer serverless functions called, smaller cluster sizes. And so that led to a few weak quarters for Datadog. And then it rebounded when everything kind of opened up with the market afterwards. And so we could see that same kind of dynamic here in recessionary spending, companies all pulling those levers roughly in the same time period, the last 6 months, let's say, of trying to reduce their cloud spend, especially on the retail and consumer side of cloud services. But what I like about Datadog is that they're really expanding other ways to bill. And so their pricing is not just per host based. There is some usage based pricing. There's some per user based pricing depending on the product. And so they really are starting to spread their pricing in different ways across their platform. And so when companies started to pull back spend with recessionary concerns, they saw it on the usage-based pricing, which meant the amount of logs being processed in their log management system, where you're billed on the number of gigabytes per time period. That's firmly usage-based pricing. They saw impacts there, not necessarily in the host-based pricing. And so I think they're pretty resilient of a company in that they can handle whatever stage and level of spend companies want to commit with their cloud. And then once you're in the cloud, as you want to modernize your applications, you need a company like Datadog to instrument your application stack to see where it is now, as you make improvements, where it is tomorrow. And so you need Datadog or a observability platform on both sides of that, much less the fact that they're cross-cloud, regardless of which cloud you pick, regardless of your on-prem or cloud, you're going to use a system like Datadog. They've got that kind of universality, I guess I'd say, of how they apply to any modern company. Every company has to have eyes on its own infrastructure, and especially in the cloud, that's more true because you don't actually own the hardware at all. So Datadog provides the eyes. I still really like them as a company.